Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code JJ50 to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. mybookie.ag, promo code JJ50, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. mybookie.ag.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, though?
I am David Dowling Jacoby.
And on the cold check-in.
And we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. What do?
We get the people what they want.
Adam Silver has a plan that's going to go to the competition committee and the board of governors, whoever those people are. This plan is going to allow him to fine teams for resting multiple players, resting healthy players, or not resting at on the road or at home. You've been calling for this for a long time. And now he will fine teams for resting healthy players. However, Jalen Rose, you know Greg Popovich already has a workaround, right? Like, don't you think they're just going to start faking injuries?
Here's how it works. I'm going to keep it real simple.
Keep it simple.
It's almost like I said with Odell Beckham. You can't be out at the club hopping on a Wednesday and then you're not in uniform balling on a Sunday. The optics just don't look good. It's not a respect level for the game, and it's unprofessional. It's the exact same thing when you're an NBA. You feature the players, you promote the games, you highlight the fact that they're going to be in uniform. Then all of a sudden, I purchase a ticket and I show up at the game, and the best players are in street clothes.
You remember that Spurs-Warriors game? Remember that Spurs-Warriors game? You were doing countdown. None of the Warriors played. Like they rested like McAdoo. It was just like, what is going on? And like, you going to start resting on countdown days?
Not at all. Here's how you remedy it. Because okay. I've called for this, as you mentioned, for years.
I don't think this is going to work, by the way, but go.
To keep it really simple, if a player finishes the previous game, that means he has the ability to play the next game.
He twisted an ankle in practice, Mr. Commissioner, so he can't go today. He twisted an ankle in practice. At shoot around this morning, he twisted an ankle. Can't go today, Mr. Commissioner. Sorry.
It's all about the integrity of the game. And also, you got to take into account as a player, you don't want to continue to be on the injury report either. Okay. That's like a used car report. And all of a sudden, those dings absolutely start to hurt your value, especially when you're not an all-NBA or an all-star caliber player. And so there is ways to do this. I'm glad that Adam Silver's trying to figure it out. I support.
I'm glad he's trying to figure it out, too. And I'm also glad that he owned up to the fact that these nationally televised ABC, ESPN, and TNT games that we're charging a lot of money to these companies for, you guys need to play. You know what I mean? Like, it's not trying to pretend like one game isn't every game is as important as the other ones. Like, no. There are certain games on the schedule that are more important than others, and we all know it. So at least he's recognizing that. I like the transparency there.
And there have been some schedule modifications for those that don't know this year.
Yep.
Eliminating most of the 4 games in 5 nights, the home and away back-to-backs and or vice versa. The season starts a week earlier. So the league has done things to remedy those days off before you actually play a nationally televised game. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think it's going to work. Do I think it's going to completely solve the problem? No. Like, do I think Steph Curry's still going to rest in a couple big games, and LeBron James is going to rest here and there, and all the Spurs and Kawhi are going to rest here and there? I think that still will occur, but we won't see what we saw last season, where there were huge games on the calendar that you were so excited for as a fan, and then the day before you find out that no one's going to play in them. Like, that's just not going to happen again. I doubt that would happen again. I'm not even going to call it a big game. There was a game on Thursday night in the NFL between the Texans and the terrible Bengals. The Texans ended up winning. Deshaun Watson looked all right. He had one really electric run that showed his potential and what he can do moving forward. But what I want to talk to you is this. He showed up to the game wearing a tuxedo. However, he had a bow tie and a tuxedo top, and he was wearing black jeans. Jalen Rose, soft move or boss move, tuxedo above the waist, jeans and sneakers below the waist.
Boss move.
No way. No way. I can't believe you just said that. Explain yourself.
That's a television look, number one, especially when they're not going to show you from head to toe.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Also, you got to look at it like this. He's a rookie. And so for him to show up with a blazer, a tie, and a shirt, really impressive. But especially, Jalen, as you mentioned, for his long touchdown run on his birthday.
With some tight black jeans and sneakers. Like, if you're going to wear a tuxedo, commit to the tuxedo. Commit to it. Don't go halfway. Ain't no such thing as a halfway tuxedo. You know, Mobb Deep said it best.
No, he was in Cincinnati playing on the road. He didn't want to walk in there with no hard bottoms on and slip.
Yep. Big weekend for you, Jalen Rose. You know that I always think that we shouldn't talk about ourselves and our lives and our fantasy teams because no one cares. But today is a special day. This is a big weekend. So we're going to talk about your Friday, your Saturday, and your Sunday. This is going to be a Jalen Rose segment because you got something very interesting going on Friday for you, on Saturday for you, and on Sunday for you and your fantasy team and your co-owner of your fantasy team. You know what? I think we gotta go co-coach or GM because owner means you have some equity stake, and some tells me that the co-owner of your fantasy team didn't put up any equity. I'm just throwing that out there. So let's just start with your fantasy team. How do you wire the money? I'm not gonna say how much it is, but it's a lot of money. Like I don't even know how you do that. Like PayPal?
You 100% wire the money, no doubt about it.
I don't think I've ever wired money in my entire life. I don't think I've ever done
Seriously?
that. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever done that. I don't even know how. So we'll get to the details of your fantasy weekend. But this evening, Friday night, you're being inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. You're being inducted along with Mitch Albom, Jim Leland, and this is where it gets interesting. Dennis Rodman. You know the after party is going to be lit if Dennis Rodman is there.
Yep. And you know what else about that after party if it is?
I shouldn't have said lit because I'm 40.
I won't be anywhere around it.
Oh, yeah? What? That's it? You're going to get honored and go home? Be too late for you. What? Like, the whole champagne and campaign thing, like, that's old. That's Jalen from a decade ago.
And the game tomorrow at noon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What's it?
It's at noon.
So what's going to happen at the Hall of Fame ceremony? They're going to have a video tribute to you? Does someone talk about you? Do you give a speech? Have you prepared a speech?
I will not prepare a speech. Do not plan to speak long. I definitely appreciate and am humbled by the honor. And I just took in as least information as possible like I do on this show. And I'm just going to wait to see what happens.
Let me guess. You know the time and place you have to be there. So you can put it into Uber. You're going to put on a suit.
Dress up.
You're going to put on a suit, and you're going to show up, and then and no one's going to know that you didn't prepare anything because you're always a good public speaker. So here's what I want to get from you. Can you ask Rodman about North Korea? Like, can we get some North Korea information? Can you just sit like, yo, Rodman, like, do you have on the text? You got him on the text. Tell us not to vaporize us because I got a good fantasy team this year. Just tell him that. Like, I got a good fantasy team this year. Tell them not to send them nukes this direction quite yet, please.
Shout out. I see that they're sending out a few, but I remember the one time when Rodman and some NBA players actually went over there to play a basketball game, and then I saw him doing an interview on CNN. When he was being questioned about it, I don't know if I felt worse for him or the people that follow him over there.
It didn't. I don't think that.
Hold on. Somebody's on the phone, Jalen. They want you to go to North Korea. Like, who is it? It's Dennis Rodman.
Please, I mean, at least just ask some questions about North Korea. Just look, he could save the world. You know what I mean? Like, Dennis Rodman could save all of our lives.
I'm going to ask him for Kim Jong's number.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Get him on a text, or at least an email or something. I bet it's just like kimjong@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I bet Dennis Rodman's just dennis.rodman@gmail.com.
Hey, don't sleep. I might be trending tonight. I might put Kim Jong and 45 on the text.
Y'all need to figure this out. I love that Dennis Rodman's our only hope against the end of the world. Dennis Rodman needs to save the world. Oh, God, Dennis Rodman. How come B.J. Armstrong wasn't available that day? I know he loves the Bulls. Can we get Bill Cartwright over there or something? You know what I mean? Luke Longley. Tony Kukoc, whatever. Like somebody else. You know? Dennis Rodman's the only one who accepted the invite. He's like, in North Korea, a club in Philly. That's where he thought he was going.
And speaking of that, I saw Victor Oladipo said that Scottie Pippen wasn't a superstar. Victor, he's one of the top 50 players of all time, sir.
What's it going to take? What do you have to do to be a superstar? Look at his stats. Look at his championships. If you want to count rings, look at everything. Look at his ability. Look at his longevity. Look at his production. I don't know. What do you want him to do? What else do you want him to do?
Look at him with MJ and without MJ.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Victor Oladipo's just young. You know, he doesn't know about Marv and Saturday on NBC. You know, he was like 2 at that point. He's just young. He's just like Lonzo Ball talking about Nas.
And speaking of that, he called Nas irrelevant, but he dated Nicki Minaj.
Have we confirmed the Nicki Minaj power couple?
Nope.
I don't think it's confirmed.
Nope.
I think you're running with this one. You're wishing that into existence.
I'm running with it.
You're wishing it into existence. You want to see it happen.
I'm going to tell you why I'm running with it. I think it was Reg or Harlan. When Nas posted the picture on IG of me and him 20 years ago, Nicki Minaj liked it. I just didn't come on wax and say anything about it. So that let me know right there. I knew she wasn't liking it because of me.
Oh, good point. Good point. Finally, I'm so glad we're at the end of the segment so we don't have to hear about your fantasy team that long. Tell me about your fantasy matchups. You only got a minute.
I'm excited about this week's fantasy matchup because unlike last week, I'm actually picked to win for whatever it's worth. My projections are higher than my opponent, Lebo.
Shout out.
Who's on Lebo's team? He got Aaron Rodgers, Howard, Abdullah, James Jones, who I just talked about.
Oh, I can't wait till Abdullah runs for 300 yards and loses you the fantasy game but wins the Lions game. You're going to be so torn. You're going to be so torn.
And I'm going to be torn because it ain't James Jones. It's Julio Jones.
Oh, okay. That's the difference. Right. There's a difference there. There's a difference about 20 fantasy points right there.
Cook, Rawls, and Pittsburgh D. But they're projected at 105. We projected at 111. So we'll see.
Can I talk to you about those projections? Guess what? It doesn't really work out that way.
Not at all.
Doesn't really work out that way. A lot of times you're counting up your projected. You try to make a bench. If you put one guy in because he's projected to score 14, the other guy's projected to score 12. I just stopped paying attention to those numbers.
Correct.
I really stopped paying attention to those numbers.
One thing I did that was smart is I picked up Sterling Shepard with my final pick. And since the game's on Monday night, I get a chance to wait till the last minute to see if Odell going to play or not. That was huge.
Jalen Rose, tonight, will be officially inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. I may or may not have written a very long, strongly worded email to the people of the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame pointing out the qualities that Jalen Rose has and what he has done on and off the court for the community in Michigan, and pointed out all of the other people that were already in the Hall of Fame that Jalen is certainly more accomplished than. And tonight he is being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. Jalen, you are a Hall of Famer, buddy.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. Appreciate the love. And it's not about me, truthfully.
Yes, it is.
It's about my mother, Jeannie Rose, my toughest critic, my #1 fan, all of the coaches I had along the way, AAU, Curtis Hervey, Rocky Watkins, high school, Perry Watson, on to the NBA, Steve Fisher while I was in college.
Big shout, Larry Brown.
Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, who's my mentor as well. So it's definitely about those people, and more importantly, it's about all of the teammates. By teammates, you mean the staff here at Jalen and Jacoby, right? No doubt about it. Okay, good. Just want to make sure. I learned so much from, and I owe all of this too. So appreciate the acknowledgement. Truly humbled.
Jalen Rose, you created a new segment, and I love it. It's called Socially Awkward.
I got to tell you, I can't take credit.
It doesn't matter.
Molly actually came up with the term.
Oh, good. Well, next time on Molly and Jacoby, we can do that for real. I can't wait till we do Molly and Jacoby. Molly created a new segment called Socially Awkward because there's so many awkward athletes on social media that we just got to point them out sometimes. I believe that you can help them. The first post we have is this. A post of Isaiah Thomas time-stamped at 7:34 in the morning, I believe, and he's in bed sleeping with the basketball. I have so many questions about this, but this really bothers me. Why do NBA players spend all their time on social media trying to convince the audience that all they care about is basketball?
I don't think he was trying to necessarily do that. Just look at it like this, and I'll use myself for an example. The game of basketball has given me everything.
But you've never slept with the basketball.
It exposed me to horizons that I've never been exposed to.
You can leave the basketball on the side of bed.
I slept with a basketball for years, sir.
What? You're weird.
No question about it.
That's just weird.
And let me just tell you another thing. I'll give you the flip side of that. How many people sleep with their phones? That ain't doing nothing for you.
Here's the thing. I saw the basketball first. The second thing I said was, I don't know if that's good for his hip. I don't know if sleeping is good for his hip. Maybe he should be sleeping on his back or something. Next. Kevin
My
Durant.
advice to Isaiah is keep sleeping with the basketball.
No, I would find a female friend to sleep with. Next, we have this. Kevin Durant has constantly been responding to trolls on the internet all summer long. Ever since he won a championship, he's just spent his time just waiting for someone to call him out on Twitter. Somebody slid into his Instagram DMs, and he went on a long-winded, profanity-laced response back to the troll. Do you have any advice for this socially awkward move from Kevin Durant?
My true advice is leave Oklahoma City, join the team that won 73 games, lead them to a championship and win Finals MVP. Because as you always say, the people who are most honest besides kids and the elderly are
people that just won championships. Athletes that just win championships will tell you anything. Like you can just go up to Steph Curry right now and be like, give me your social security number. He'll be like, no problem. I got you. Next, we have this one. This has been going on for a while.
But my social media advice for KD is, all right, now the season about to start back. Once training camp hits, it's time to now focus on the future.
This one's been going on for a while. Kristaps Porzingis has been constantly trying to get at an Instagram model, being shot down time and time again, and she is taken. What is your advice for this socially awkward move from Kristaps?
Stop being desperate.
For real.
She told you she has a man. You continue to slide in her DMs. Like, that's just flagrant, rude, and disrespectful.
Oh, speaking of flagrant, rude, and disrespectful, this next one is even more flagrant, more rude, and certainly more disrespectful. In 2 occasions, Chandler Parsons has joined live Instagram feeds of young ladies and asked them to reveal their chest. Is he an idiot? Is he a misogynist? Or is he trying to be funny? Or all of the above?
Well, it's a couple of things I want to make sure I say. Number one, at training camp, that's a failed drug test.
Okay, that's a failed test.
Number 2, he's just being a pervert.
It's just that.
That's what that's called.
It doesn't come off as funny to your male friends. It's just disrespectful for your female friends. Like, who thinks that's funny? I'm starting to think that maybe Chandler Parsons isn't the smartest person in the NBA. I'm just starting to think that perhaps maybe his athletic ability and his emotional awareness and intelligence might not be on par with each other.
But we just got finished posting pictures of him out with Blake Griffin and one of the Jenners and what seemed to be somebody that he was possibly dating.
Yeah, what's Haley Baldwin going to think about that? She think that's funny? Some tells me she doesn't think that's funny.
And lastly, I have to say this.
It ain't going to
work.
Too
much idle time. Got to get him healthy and get him back on the court.
Maybe he should be sleeping with a basketball instead. Next, I had to ask you about this one. Nicki Minaj was all set to perform at a big party. It was a Fashion Week after party. I'm sure she got paid a handsome little fee for this. She refused to go on stage. And I quote page 6. She refused to go on stage until she got her Popeyes bleeping chicken. The production team had to send someone out to get her chicken. I know you love Nicki Minaj. Is this a soft move or a boss move?
Not only is it cultural, it's definitely a boss move.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You got to understand, anytime somebody gets invited to come somewhere to perform, they have something that's called a rider. And in that, it's all of the things that they suggest that they have once they get there before they get on the stage.
Something tells me that if there was premeditated Popeye's chicken, then it's a boss move. If it's premeditated, it's like a tour manager's like, listen, we need a bucket of Popeye's chicken everywhere she goes, and then it was not there, if it's a failure on the production side, that's a boss move. However, if she just decided on a whim that she was hungry and she needed Popeye's chicken and she wasn't going on stage until she got it, that's a soft move. You have to agree with that.
first off, you can't do it in advance because it may not be hot. You got to get it fresh off the presses. Go through the drive-thru. Get the 2-piece extra crispy with a biscuit. Get a little honey on the side. And bring it to her fresh before she take the stage. And especially since it was just Nas' birthday. And you know we salute power couples on this show.
Of course. One thing we always salute on this show is our show staff. And this next topic is for my friend Baron Dam, who absolutely wants us to talk about this, even though I do not.
Shout out.
An Irish Greyhound champion. Greyhound is a dog, a racing dog. Tests positive for cocaine. Why they're testing dogs for cocaine, I'm not even sure. But when asked about it, the terrible person that gave the dog the cocaine, the dog's trainer, said this, and I can't believe this. Quote, "You can pass traces of cocaine by handling money. When a dog wins a race, people are walking up to the dog and patting it on the head. If they have cocaine on their hands, they can pass that to the dog, and it can come out in a urine sample." What? Are you buying this excuse?
I want to quote the great American philosopher LL Cool J. That's a lie. I'm telling you what this sounds like to me. This sounds like if it wasn't being used as a performance enhancer, it sounds like an individual whose tables at their house aren't really high.
Aren't the cleanest.
And the dog got a chance to walk around
yeah, not the
and just
tables.
lick whatever was on the table off.
I do have to say, as a very serious journalist covering a very serious journalistic topic, that I have no idea if this dog actually gave if the dog trainer actually gave the dog cocaine. But I will say this: something ain't right. Something isn't right. Something isn't right there. I don't know what it is, but something ain't right with that dog trainer. I promise that. All right. There are two types of things in the world of sports and media and pop culture, and some things are worth discussing and some things aren't. We separate the two with a segment we call Keep It Moving. If it's worth discussing, we hit the brakes, talk about it. If it is not worth discussing, we keep it moving. Oh, great job with the beat, Reg. Reg is trying today.
Shout out.
Marshawn Lynch was fined $12,000 for the double bird salute last week in Tennessee. Keep moving.
Like he said, 12 G's ain't nothing to a boss. Keep it moving.
Jake Cutler is finally going to make his debut for the Dolphins. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes for Cuddy.
Kid Cudi is now scheduled for his first start against the Bucs. Oh, no, that was canceled. They've been displaced. They spent the week in Oxnard, California. So not only did he miss training camp, not only was he naked on vacation with Kristen Cavallari from The Hills. You watch The Hills, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
So I think he's going to be wildly unprepared for this performance. I'm not going to lie. I think this is going to go poorly. Next, the Colts are expected to start Jacoby Brissett against the Cardinals on Sunday.
Hit the brakes.
I respect Jacoby Brissett. Not only is he a Jacoby brother, he is former New England Patriot, and he had some great performances last year for the Patriots. I think he went 1-1 as a starter, but 2-1 when he got in the game. He had a huge preseason game against fourth-string defenses, and now he's basically playing a fourth-string defense in the Cardinals.
He's playing on a fourth-string squad, though.
Yeah, he really is. The Colts are bad. I feel bad for Jacoby. This week he's going to text Bill. He's going to text Bill on Sunday night. Like, Bill, whatever it takes.
Why you do me like that?
Whatever it takes. Get me back. Get me back, Bill. Next thing that is up. Bengals cornerback Dre Kirkpatrick, after the loss to the Texans on Thursday night, said, quote, "We suck," end quote. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Dre Kirkpatrick, after the second straight game in which the Cincinnati Bengals did not score a touchdown, he said, "We suck." Today, Zampese, the offensive coordinator, was fired. Do you think it was too early in the season to fire Zampese?
No, because they're the first team to play 2 home games to start a season and not score a touchdown since the early 1900s.
Yeah, I think it was 1939 was the last time that happened. You got to think about what was happening in 1939. That's pre-World War II. Like, we're not even in World War II yet. And that's how bad the Bengals are. They do suck. Shout out to you, Kirkpatrick, for keeping it real.
Shout out.
Tom Brady said there's no chance he retires after this season. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving, no surprise. Keep getting them checks.
Rob Gronkowski said he would hold 2 if he was a defensive back.
Keep it moving. He wasn't getting held last week.
A rookie, Jordan Bell of the Warriors, had some very interesting things to say about covering LeBron James in pickup. Keep moving here to the breaks.
Did you say a Warrior?
Yep.
Was it Draymond?
Draymond's
Clay?
involved. Draymond's involved.
KD? Steph?
Draymond's involved.
Did Draymond say it?
Nope.
Keep it moving. I'm going to see him at the game tomorrow.
NBA veteran Boris Diaw has signed with a team in France. Keep it moving here to
Hit
the
the
breaks.
brakes.
I don't have many details on this one. But Boris
This
Diaw,
is one of those things where I say, man, we come up with a list of all of the people that's out of the game. It'll be fascinating.
Sure. We got to do that before the season, though. Because, Boris Diaw could get signed somewhere. Boris Diaw has a coffee maker in his locker. I always enjoyed that. But it always made me feel like the locker room smelled.
No,
it made the locker room smell.
I'm telling you, when you start getting coffee makers in your locker,
It's time to go.
trust management walking past like, we going to get rid of him.
He's not right. We don't need that,
And
I just
that's
think the
my
locker room
guy,
would
but
smell. It would make the locker room smell like coffee. I
and
love
I
coffee.
always talk about when I'm out of shape, I'm built like a kangaroo. He's built like a pear.
He does. He does kind of like a Russian doll sometimes. he's a stretch mark 4, though. You know what I mean? So I gotta give him love. He's a stretch mark 4. People can start biting stretch mark 4. That's gonna happen. And no one's
They're
gonna give me
already
credit.
biting it. I've already seen it get bitten, and they try to use other positions.
Yeah, I saw it. I always got my eye out. I'm keeping a
Mr. Me
list.
Too's.
I'm keeping a list of Mr. Me Too's. Next, Marvin Lewis says Andy Dalton's job is secure.
He's under contract, and they can't change quarterbacks right now. Keep it moving.
Next. You want to talk about NBA rankings?
Keep it moving. They're designed only for conversation and argument.
Mm-hmm. Next, the NFL appeals Ezekiel Elliott's injunction to the Fifth Circuit.
Keep it moving. That's why the NBA has surpassed the NFL in popularity.
Martin Shkreli's $2 million Wu-Tang album might not be a real Wu-Tang album.
What?
Hit the brakes. You said Wu-Tang.
The rapper Killa Sin didn't think he was contributing verses to a Wu-Tang Clan record a few years ago when he stood before a microphone in a hotel room in Staten Island, New York. A Moroccan producer known as Civil Rings had flown in for the sessions because Killa Sin, whose real name is Gerald Grant, was barred from travel by the terms of his parole. So basically what's happening is, if you read into all of this, is it seems like they kind of patched together a Wu-Tang album and then sold it for $2 million to a jerk. That's what it seems like happened. It seems
Correct.
Here's the thing. I know how this works. If it was really like a back and forth Ghost and Ray banger, they wouldn't put it on an album that no one's going to listen to.
No, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do that. So
they wouldn't put Glaciers of Ice on there.
Yeah, it was. So essentially, Civil Rings, RZA, and Paddle 8 co-founder Alexander Gillis hold the book box and certification that came with the album. I don't know. I don't think this is a real Wu-Tang album. But you know what?
Nope.
At least if you're gonna make anybody pay for a fake album, at least it's Martin Shkreli or whatever that guy's name is. Martin Shkreli. I hate that guy. Jalen, bald men are perceived as more attractive and dominant, a new study says. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
According to a new study, bald is really beautiful. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania have released the results of a survey that found men who have shed their hair are more attractive. The study was composed of 3 major tests given to students on campus. Huh. Are you buying this study? We talk about a lot of studies on this show.
That's just an imagery thing.
We talk about a lot of
when you have a
studies on
bald
this show.
head, it's almost like you're more clean cut, which means that you're like rougher or tougher type of thing. So not true. People get it caught up in appearances and relate that to personality traits.
Jalen Rose, week 2 in the NFL coming up. We are going to preview as much as we can from college and the NFL and pop culture. Jalen Rose, we have to go very quickly on this. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
We got the undefeated Eagles against the undefeated Chiefs Sunday in Kansas City. Will the game be better than the tailgate food?
The tailgate food is going to be the bomb in KC. barbecue in particular.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles are a team that people should truly pay attention to. Ever since Chip Kelly left, you got to remember, they play more of a conventional style.
Yep.
They used to wear out their defense, have it exhausted on the field, playing so many snaps because he didn't value the clock. And so now their defense looks fast and physical. As far as Carson Wentz, as a young quarterback, it seems like they've done a really good job of surrounding him with potential weapons. You add LeGarrette Blount, you have Darren Sproles, they're going to get some carries to Smallwood. Ince is a tight end, Alshon and Torrey Smith on the outside. Like, I really like the Eagles' balance.
You know what I like? Hunt and Hill. I like the other side of the ball.
No question about it.
I love Hunt and Hill. I just saw this stat. It's mind-blowing. Tariq Hill can extend his NFL record streak of 5 consecutive regular season games with a touchdown of at least 65 yards.
That's
5
explosive.
consecutive games of a touchdown of at least 65 yards. There are skilled players that are great players, maybe not Hall of Famers, great players that play years in the league and don't have a single touchdown of over 65 yards.
And Kareem Hunt, the rookie that you mentioned out of the backfield, 246 yards from scrimmage. Most by a player in NFL history in their debut.
Moving on, I don't even want to talk about this game. Cardinals
Who's going to win that game? Who's going to win that game? We got to pick a winner.
Chiefs are going to win by 10, no doubt.
I'm sick that they don't have Eric Berry, and because he's out, I'm going with the Eagles.
Oh, please. Can I get 5 push-ups on wax for that one? That's ridiculous.
We can't do that for every game.
I know. I want this one, though, because I know the Chiefs are going to win. I know the Chiefs are going to win this one. You don't even do it. I don't want to make you do push-ups like that. You got a bird chest. Next, we got the Cardinals at the Colts. I don't even want to talk about this game. Can we just move on? Can we move on? Let's move on.
Who you got, though?
I got everybody losing that watches this game. This game does not matter to me. I do not care. I do not care. I do not care.
Oh, hold on.
Jacoby Brissett. You know the Colts are going to win because Jacoby Brissett. I know where you're going with that.
I was about to say, like, wait a minute now.
I might watch this one a little bit. I can't lie. Moving on, we got the Vikings going to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. 2 very good teams. If I was at home and only had one screen, I think this would be my 1 o'clock game. Aside from watching Jacoby Brissett when he's in the game.
The Vikings and Steelers, the thing that stand out to me was Sam Bradford upright in the pocket.
Yep.
Once he's being protected, Dalvin Cook, rookie out of the backfield.
Yep. Stephon Diggs had 2 touchdowns. It's a great fantasy performance for David Jacoby's team.
Man, it's tough to pick a winner in that one.
I want to see more.
I'm trying to find it. I thought we was going in order, so I'm trying to find who they playing again.
We are going in order. It's the Vikings at the Steelers.
It wasn't in order on mine.
Well, I guess you don't. You changed the order on yours. I'm sorry. I just use my brain. You know what I mean? I don't use my research. I just use my brain.
No, but I still had to. I don't remember every matchup.
I want to see more from
Martavis
Martavis
Bryant.
Bryant.
John Madden.
Martavis Bryant. Martavis Bryant is not even on my fantasy
playing.
team. I just need to see more from him because I love his habitual medicinal.
Who, Martavis Bryant?
Yeah. Next,
I'm going with
I'm going with the Vikings in that game.
On the road?
On the road. Going with the Vikings in that. I really like the way the Vikings look on both sides of the ball last week. I really did.
I'm going with the Steelers. Le'Veon Bell has his breakout game. He was pretty pedestrian last week. And I have to say something that everybody that talks about Pittsburgh's win last week always omits. And I say this because I picked this guy up late on my fantasy team the last 2 years. James Jones gets touchdowns. Had 2 last week.
Next game, we have the Browns going to Baltimore to face the Ravens. I could not be less excited for this game. At least the Colts have Jacoby Brissett, you know?
The Browns have Deshaun Kaiser. They're starting a rookie quarterback. The Ravens defense last week shut out the Cincinnati Bengals, who played just as bad, if not worse, the next game against the Texans. They lost Woodhead last week. I'm going to take the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens too, but I don't even think I'm going to be paying attention to this one. Unless you have any fantasy players.
Terrell Suggs don't get a sack and a scoop.
Oh, okay. Next, 2 teams that have not won a game this year, both 0-1. The Patriots go down to New Orleans. Who dat say they're going to beat them Saints?
The biggest thing from last week that no one is discussing is I'm still looking for Gronk. Did he play?
Did he play? He played, right? Did Gronk play?
Right.
Did he play? Huh?
Like, so I see him on the commercials. We're going to be excited about his big personality and his
dancing with his shirt
celebratory
off.
ways.
But in order to get into those commercials, no one's going to be on the booze cruise, Gronk, unless you score some touchdowns. It's going to be you and Flo Rida and a couple of your brothers, and that's going to be it on the whole booze cruise.
And with that being said, and I know Phillip Rivers is going to find ways to get his team into the end zone. Cooks is going against his former squad. Because of those two guys, Cook and Gronk, Brady and the bunch respond and went on the road.
Week 1 was the second time in Gronkowski's career that he ran at least 30 routes and caught 2 or few passes.
Eric Berry.
Wow.
Is out for the year.
Wow. So you picking the Patriots in that one?
Yes.
Yeah,
Who you got?
Patriots, no doubt. And then we got the Bears and the Buccaneers playing their first game on week 2. I'm rooting for the Bucs. You know what? I'm rooting for the Texans, I'm rooting for the Bucs, I'm rooting for the Dolphins, just because of what has happened to those cities and those communities.
The Bears had something happen that's always tricky in sports. They got a moral victory last week.
Yep.
And when you play against Atlanta at home, you have a chance to win late.
Couple drop
passes. You
passes.
can talk about all of the reasons why you should have won, but you didn't. This is the week they get blown out.
Yeah.
I'm going with Tampa. Jameson crew big.
We got the Bills at the Panthers. That's not going to be a very good game. The Bills are not a very good football team. The Bills and the Jets, the Bills, Jets, Colts, like it's not happening, guys.
The Bills are all about LaShawn McCoy, running and catching. The development of Tyrod Taylor. The Panthers, Cam.
Oh, Cam.
Funchess gets loose this week. He was quiet last week. Funchess catches a touchdown. I'm going with the Panthers.
Next, we have the Titans at the Jaguars. This could be interesting. Oh, wait, it won't be interesting. The Titans are going to win.
Mariota gets slept on. He truly does. He's a dual threat as a quarterback. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a franchise-high 10 sacks last week. Calais Campbell had 4 of them. They lost Allen Robinson to an ACL injury. I'm rolling with you. I'm taking the Titans.
The Titans only scored 1 touchdown with 3 red zone appearances in week 1, lost to the Raiders.
I just need Leonard Fournette to get more 100-yard weeks.
Oh, you got Fournette in your fantasy team?
Yes, indeed.
It's a late pick.
He was my second.
7?
No, he's like my first pick was Odell. My second pick was Fournette.
Really? Wow.
I'm a great GM.
You think so? The Jets at the Raiders. The Jets aren't even trying to win. Like, I don't even want to talk about them. They're not even trying to win. Can we just move on?
I'm taking the Raiders, no doubt about it.
No
Crabtree
doubt.
catches 2 touchdowns.
No doubt.
Marshawn Lynch runs over somebody else.
All right, we got to speed this up. The Dolphins are going to play the Chargers. Jay Cutler, baby. Jay Butler.
Good job, Phillip Rivers, last week. I sat and had adult beverages with David Jacoby, said you was going to throw 3 TDs. Because of you, I won fantasy last week without Odell, but I'm taking Stephen Ross and the Dolphins.
I had to drive the minivan, so I couldn't have adult beverages. You know? We got so many people in the minivan. You can't even have one. You know, it's just like there's so many souls in that place.
Not gonna be able to do it.
It's just soda water for me.
Precious cargo.
If I got the minivan keys in my pocket, it's soda water. Next, we have the 49ers going into Seattle to play the Seahawks.
Seahawks big.
Yeah, they need a bounce back win. The Washington football team coming to Los Angeles to play Jared Goff. Surprisingly like solid Jared Goff in week 1 against the Rams. I love Cooper Kupp. I feel like Kupp and Goff are like friends off the field. I feel like they got good chemistry. They both have weird names.
I want to see Terrell Pryor show that he could be a lead receiver for the Redskins. They had a couple of miscommunications last week. He wasn't able to get on track. The Rams are playing at home. They had a big win last week. Todd Gurley turns into his old self, gets 2 touchdowns. I'm going with the Rams.
Cowboys at the Broncos, real quick.
Where's Dez Bryant this year?
Where
it
is he?
seems like as Dak Prescott has ascended, his stats have continued to
Have they met?
Right.
They
like,
talked?
wow. Broncos playing at home. You know what?
Cowboys win that one.
I'm going with Dallas on the road.
Yeah, me too. Now, finally, the big game, the Packers and the Falcons, a rematch of the NFC Championship from last year. The Sunday night game is always a good game. What do you have in this one?
I love watching Ty Montgomery
Me too.
go from being a wide receiver wearing number 88 to line up in the backfield. It's just so fun to watch when I see that number doing those routes.
Me too. Very quickly.
They have Aaron Rodgers on the road. I'm going with Atlanta to have a big game after they were pretty average in beating the Bears last week.
Very quickly, noon on Saturday, Air Force goes into the big house to play the Michigan Wolverines, and some of the Fab Five will be honorary captains.
Actually, we got booted from honorary captains.
Wait, what happened?
I heard we got booted.
Oh.
I'm just going to get honored for being in the Hall of Fame.
All right.
In the second quarter.
All right, I'm gonna write a strongly worded email. I don't know if I got time. It's Friday, but I'm gonna write a strongly worded email.
It was only gonna be 4 of us maximum anyway.
And let's not forget, if you are in Cincinnati, there at 8 o'clock at the Land of Illusion, there's a big Guar show. Jalen, are you down with Guar?
No, sir. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Guar is? Explain the plot to Guar. You can call 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails, and we'll play them on the show just like this.
Jalen and Jacoby, it's Brad Money again from Iowa. Hey, fellas, I don't know what you guys got going on over there at ESPN, but I'm looking at those player ratings and rankings, and, oh, man, there is no world that we could ever live in where Lonzo Ball and Robert Covington are better than Carmelo Anthony. And I don't got the list in front of me. That's just 2 names. I go to my daughter. She loves unicorns. She's almost 9 years old. I said, hey, you want to see a unicorn? She said, yeah, Daddy. I'm like, come over here to the TV and check this out. You see that right there, that man wearing the big tall guy? He's a unicorn.
All right, Jalen, you know how you always take us behind the curtain with locker rooms and stuff? Let me take you behind the curtain in sports media, okay? For the audience. The month of August and early September, especially in the basketball news calendar, there's just not much going on. So what people do is they get together and they say, we're going to make a list. We're going to rank all of the basketball players in the NBA in terms of how valuable they all are. Now, Sports Illustrated does one. ESPN does one. A lot of other outlets do one, too. And the sole reason to do this, it doesn't change how anybody gets paid. It doesn't change anything about anyone's life except for people in media and fans like to talk about it. It is there truly to spark controversy. And you will put, like the way they put Easter eggs in movies, they will put a couple Easter eggs in these lists that they know will start controversy just to make people like us talk about it and just to make my man Brad Money upset.
Shout out.
Very well said. I did not participate in the poll or the list. One of the things I want to get people to stop saying, however, when they critique the list, is don't think just because somebody's a rookie, they can't be ranked higher than somebody that's already played.
Sure.
Don't use that as the logic.
Yeah,
just
I would value Lonzo Ball over a lot of players in the NBA. 30%, 40% of the NBA I would value Lonzo Ball over, but just not Carmelo Anthony.
Well, I hear people talking about it, and then the low-hanging fruit comment, especially for those that get paid to talk on television or radio, they would say, how can you have a rookie ranked ahead of a vet? Duh. That's self-explanatory.
If you're thinking about a trade, like would your favorite team trade? How many of your players would they trade for Markelle Fultz right now? Probably 8 of them. Like 8 people on the roster they would trade for Markelle Fultz right now. So it's not that he hasn't played a game; it's based on value, but it's just what Carmelo Anthony has done. He's averaged 20 points a game every year he's been in the NBA. There's only like 7 people that have done that in the history of the league. Shout out to Bob Pettit.
I think Carmelo overall would be top 30 to 35.
Yeah. So there's 30 teams in the NBA. Okay. So you put him in the top 30, so he's going to be the best player on his team, most teams, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, if you looked at, I'm not going to do it because, I love Brad Money, but I don't love this list and then how it makes people talk about it. But I would say that Carmelo Anthony would be in the top 2 players on his team in, top of my head, 25 of the 30 teams in the NBA. Yeah. Thank you so much for the call, Brad Money. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Ooh, I'm so mad. Can't stand LeBron. Nah, I'm playing. I love LeBron. But let me tell you what he's doing that's got me hot. I ain't going to say my name, but I'm from San Diego. What's up, Jalen, Jacoby, Reg, the crew? I'm 32. I just had twins back in January, and I got a teenage son, relatively young, 32. Now, my hair situation is a mess. I really don't have none. I got it around the sides like the old deacon at the church. Now, in the 90s, Georgia shaved his head. So it made running around with a bald head look good. It's a lot of work to shave your head. I can't shave my head daily because my skin will get irritated. So I shave it once, and I wear it bald for about 2-3 days, and I wear a hat for about 3 or 4 days, and I'll shave it again. So I'm shaving it maybe once a week. Now, LeBron is spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to cover up the fact that his hair looks like my hair. If that man would just embrace his hair, whatever it is, whatever that situation is, it will become a cool thing. He will take a little ridicule at first, of course. Internet ain't no joke. But it will become a normalcy. And then people like me with the same hair situation, we can walk around with no caps on and feel a little bit more secure because when LeBron's doing it, it must be all right. Let me know what you think. I'll let your boy.
I love anonymous callers. Like, some people forget to say their name. Like, I was like, oh, he forgot to say his name. We can't give him a shout. He's like, I'm not saying my name. I'm not going to ID myself, so I have plausible deniability if any of my boys or my female friends hear this.
I'm so glad that Jay Bilas brought that word to the network. I've used it a couple of times, too. Plausible deniability. If somebody knows who he is, he gave a description. He said he's 32, from San Diego, has a teenage son, just had a daughter.
And twins. Yeah.
And he showed us what type of hairstyle he wears.
There's only so many people that fit that profile in San Diego.
But I agree with him about public figures or celebrities making things in vogue or cool again. I remember growing up with bad teeth, and I appreciated Too Short and Reggie Miller and Nas, and nowadays Michael Strahan. People who embraced their imperfections. So I understand exactly where he's coming from.
I understand, too. And here's another thing is, he had twins in January. So he's got 2 9-month-old babies, and he's worried about his hair. You know what I mean? He must have it together around that house. Because if y'all remember, when I had the twins, I had an extra 20 pounds, hair growing long, you're not shaving, not dressing well. I was I had big bags under my eyes.
So I have to ask you a question because he's on your corner as it relates to having twins.
He is.
I think you should give him advice about embracing his situation and considering joining the minivan mafia more so than worry about his personal appearance.
So here's the problem. It's the teenage daughter. Though she don't want to be driven around in the minivan. You know what I mean? Like, if the daughter was 8, I believe it's a daughter. Shout to you if it's a son. Yeah, if it's a son. So if the son was 8, he'd be happy with the minivan. My son loves the minivan. But when you get to that teenage, you get dropped off in front of school, and then you get turned 16 and you can drive it yourself. Out of respect for the son's teenage game, I wouldn't go minivan if I was him. And you know what? He can have a pass. He's got a minivan-worthy family, but I understand, my brother. I understand if you don't have a minivan.
So he just got to wait till his son get 18.
Well, because his son doesn't need a car seat either, so they can use a regular car. You know, you can fit everybody into a regular car with that. But shout to you. And shout to San Diego, underrated city. I love San Diego.
Doubt.
There's definitely 8 people listening to this be like, oh, that was Charles. You know? Oh, that's Charles. Charles, they texted him right now. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, what up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's your boy Omar from Orlando. Shouts out to Reggie. This is like a 2 or 3 part question. All right. My wife is pregnant with twins, 2 boys. That makes number 5 for us. Well, 4 and 5. We looked at minivans as a second vehicle. We currently have an Expedition. Minivans, not going to be able to do it. So the first question is, what's a good vehicle that offers spacing for 5 kids? A 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 2-year-old, and 2 newborns. All right. Second question. Well, I guess it's more of a statement. Question. All right. Like I said, I had 2 twins coming. Both boys. The first one name is...
Did he forget what happened there? He's got so many kids, he forgot his kids' names. Did we have a length on these voicemails or whatever? First of all, Omar in Atlanta, just shout to you. You know? Because when I heard you had 5 kids, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, that's a lot to deal with. A 9, a 10, a 2, and 2 babies? Shout out to Omar. Like, I feel you, Omar. But there's one thing that I need to talk to you about. There is no other car for you and your family that is not a minivan. This is why minivans were invented. Like what are you going to do? You going to put a motorhome? You get an RV? Like, what do you need? You going to get a transit? You going to get a short school bus? Like, what you need a minivan? You going to get a pickup truck and just throw them all in the back? Like, what is the plan, Omar? You know, like, what are you afraid of? Embrace the minivan. If you really, truly can't embrace the minivan, you got to get the transit. You got to get the transit. You know what I'm talking about? Or like the Mercedes-Benz fancy version. I forget what that one's called. The Sprinter. Yeah, get the Sprinter. Go Sprinter. Like, that's the only thing you can do. But I'm telling you, when I heard about all of his kids, Jalen, the first thought that came to my mind is like, I'm just one mistake away from having 5 kids myself.
Don't call it a mistake.
It would be a mistake, I promise. I need to get this vasectomy.
Don't
ASAP.
do it. Please don't do it.
No. Jalen, we have a simple motto on this program. The first question that we have, I absolutely love. It's from Chris Moses. Are the Jaguars for real? When I got that question, the first thing I thought was, of course the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy Jaguars are for real.
No doubt.
First thing I thought. I was like, of course the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy Jaguars are for real. How I know you do amazing things for not just like the children themselves, but their families, the whole community in Detroit, which needs the help, needs more high schools, more education. But can we put that aside for a second and just talk about the athletic programs at the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy?
Let's do that.
How we doing? And do we have a football team? I'm going to guess no.
Well, since we only have 415 students, it's almost impossible to field a consistent football team with 20% of your students.
That's
so
fair.
No football. But, however, we do have all of the other programs that you will hope your high school has.
Really?
As you know, the season is just now starting, the fall season in particular. So track and field and volleyball are just underway. I'll make sure I follow back and give you an update.
Can I just name some sports that my high school had that perhaps maybe your high school doesn't?
Sure.
Ultimate Frisbee, Jalen Rose Leadership Academy have an Ultimate Frisbee team?
No way.
Field hockey? No field hockey team?
No field hockey.
Cross country?
We have cross country. I personally ran cross country in high school as well.
I know. You're the Charles Oakley of cross country. You would cheat at cross country. I know that about you. Well, to answer Chris's question, I do not believe it was about the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy Jaguars. I believe it was about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm going to say, no, not for real. Simple answer.
In the NFL, you always go right to one position when that question is asked. Yeah.
Exactly. Next question that we have is from Jordan.
Shout out.
Very controversial topic. Have you or will you see the new It movie?
No. I'm not mad at scary movies. I assume I saw the original It.
I believe it was a television series, if I'm not mistaken. It's based on a Stephen King book that I read like the first 100 pages of.
But wifey don't like scary movies. And so I don't think I'd go see it in the theater, but if it came on TV, I'll check it out.
Can someone do this for me that listens to this show? Take the poster of It, take out Pennywise's face, put in Isaiah Thomas's face with a clown paint on it. Like, how hard is that? I don't have Photoshop skills, but someone should do that and send it to the Jalen and Jacoby 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Shout out.
Big Crown. I believe Big Crown is a mail carrier, if I'm not mistaken. One of our favorite listeners. Shout out to Big Crown.
He's a member of the staff.
At Big Crown Music. Works harder on the show than anybody here. I promise. Question. When was the last time you guys mailed a letter, and do you guys know how much a stamp is? Ooh. Last time I checked, the stamp was 39 cents, I want to say.
I mailed a couple of postcards, but I did it from Italy.
Oh, okay.
Also, the mail I send...
I didn't get a postcard. No one on the staff got a postcard. No. I thought we were cool. Reggie get a postcard? Did Harlan get a postcard? Mom and grandma. That's it. You don't even know my address. I only know like one address in the whole entire world. It's not my own. Let's be real.
So I would say for stamps, I think it's less than that. I think 35 cents.
It's 49 cents now. 2 stamps for $1. But I did write a letter just 2 weeks ago, handwritten letter to my great friend, Rembert Brown. Big friend of the show.
What up, though, Rem?
Love Rembert. Big shout to Rembert. Ryan has a question. Are moccasins cultural?
Yeah.
I think yes. I think they're a Native American footwear at the very core. So I would say, like, yes. Like, it's almost like saying it's Mexican food cultural. Like, yes, it is. It's Mexican.
Yeah.
But big shout to Ryan for the question. Ryan followed up with a much better question. Ryan made it back. Ryan made it back after that one. When can you start playing Christmas music? I got the answer for this.
After Thanksgiving.
The day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The day after Thanksgiving, you can start playing Christmas music.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the West Coast and it's hot out, then you got to wait a little bit longer till December 1st, I'm going to say. But it's the East Coast. If it starts snowing, you can start Christmas music.
Yeah.
Even if it's late October. Oh, okay. Next question that we have is from Wes.
Shout out.
I have a good answer for this one. I'm going to answer this one, Jalen. How do I get my girl invested in sports? Let me tell you something, Wes. Don't try to change your girl.
No.
If she doesn't like sports, you should appreciate that she doesn't like sports. You can use sports as an escape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what you should never try to do. If you love somebody, don't try to change them. Love who they are. There are little things you can try to tweak, little behaviors here and there, little frivolous things. But in terms of what they like and don't like, it's not really going to work. One thing, though, just to answer is there's a lot of off-court drama that you can get them that I find that my lady really likes to hear about. She likes to hear about the sort of the interpersonal stuff, and she likes to just look at them and decide whether or not she thinks they're cute. That also happens all the time. Oh, huh. Matthias, another producer of the show.
Yes, indeed.
Has an interesting question. Does Jalen know where Denmark is in the world? Could he pick it out on a globus? I think globus is cultural.
Yeah.
Denmark is in Scotland.
Where in Scotland is Denmark? Let me tell you something. Everyone has their own intellectual blind spots. Geography is one of mine. Like, I just don't know where anything is. Like, I honestly don't. Like, I really have like a very, very, very poor understanding of geography. And I think I've been to Denmark. I'm going to say 2 times. I still couldn't pick it out on the globe. But one thing I do know is it's not in Scotland. But
Sweden.
The question just came into my ear from the producer. What do I know about Denmark? I'm going to say...
it's in Sweden.
Yeah, it's in Sweden. I think tulips are a Denmark thing. Or is it... No? What do they speak? Do they speak Danish in Denmark? Is Denmark where they build more land? I think I'm getting the Netherlands confused with Denmark, to be honest with you.
I got something for you that you'd appreciate, being the leading statue expert in the world.
Oh, okay.
It is where the only mermaid statue resides.
Did they tell you
Little Mermaid, the cartoon?
Where did you get this information? Like Ariel, the mermaid? The Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
No, Reg just told me in my ear.
How many times has Reg given me facts in my ear that weren't the name of a song? Never.
Last show?
Never. Exactly. Come on, Reg. All right, so we got Denmark is not the Netherlands. It's north of Germany. I'm looking at it on the map here. Oh, yeah, I don't think I've ever been there. Yeah, I'm going to say Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, all kind of, in my mind, are all one country. I mean, no disrespect to any of the people in those countries. I'm just being honest about my intellectual blind spot. It's my lack of international knowledge. No disrespect to those countries, especially no disrespect to Matthias, who works harder on the show than we do.
Yeah.
Next question is a good one. Just a simple down-the-middle ESPN sports question. Mike wants to know, Karl Anthony Towns or Giannis? Who is your pick and why?
This is a real tough one.
Mm-hmm.
In today's game, I would have to give the edge to the Greek Freak.
I would as well. There's the
Based
versatility.
on his perimeter skills. Not that Karl Anthony Towns can't dribble, can't shoot, and can't pass, but he can do it for a big guy.
But Karl Anthony Towns also can't switch on to a 2 or a 1 in a pick and roll, like Giannis can. Like on the defensive
Correct.
side, like Giannis has more versatility, and I think he'll be more valuable moving forward. However, Karl Anthony Towns is going to be one of the best players in the NBA in like 4 or 5 years. So nothing to take away from him.
I got another one I'm going to throw out there, and the people got on me when I said it at the draft. They thought I was just saying it because they resemble one another. When I called Devin Booker Klay Thompson, he's going to go off this year.
Remember where you heard it first? Thank you so much for watching on ESPN2 and
Thank
ESPN
you.
News, listening on the radio, and subscribing
Thank
to the
you.
Jalen and Jacoby podcast. Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.
You're far too kind.